And if you're just joining us, this is Comic Chat with Gab, where we talk about comic books, and we are doing a spoiler cast of Batman, the Capullo Snyder Edition, Volume 7, Endgame. Ha, ha, ha.
Nice.
Because I remember that on the back of the book.
Yeah, it does say ha.
I never actually read it, so Taylor's going to teach us everything. I'm just kidding. No. So if you guys haven't seen this before, we are a weekly show about comic books where I really don't know a whole lot about them, and Taylor knows a whole lot about them.
But I've been teaching Chris, so he's learning to
I'm
know a whole lot.
I've read all the volumes of the Capullo Snyder Batman series. That's pretty much all I've done. I've done a little bit of Flash here and there, but I'm really into these. So we just finished Volume 7. We actually did a pretty open talk about what's going to be Volume 8, the first 4 issues. So on the last episode, there's the link. I mean, if you just joined us from this video, take a look. It was really cool. But now we're going to talk Volume 7, Endgame. It's been out for a while, as in everyone knows what's happening. Not the whole volume as a trade, but all the issues
have been out.
So let's start it right off the bat. Spoilers, clearly, because we're gonna get it going. Batman and Joker are dead. It's been 50 years that they've been fighting each other since the first show. Yeah, his first issue, in issue number 94, entitled "The Joke's on You, Bitch," and it was really weird because in the Silver Age of comics you can't swear. But they died, and you know where they died? They died in a cave next to each other.
Yeah.
That's good for them.
Did they die though, Chris?
That's the whole trouble. Because when you're reading, that's the trouble with comic books, is that of course they're not dead. But they could be dead, and then that could have been they could be dead, and that could have been the end of the entire Capullo Snyder line, and then they could have just rebooted it. But no, clearly Volume 8 exists.
Yeah.
So let's kind of go to the beginning. In-game, Joker, his biggest joke, is that what they call it?
Whatever,
his biggest plan?
Whatever, yeah.
What exactly happened? Because I guess they referenced the Joker virus that he originally did.
He always has a Joker virus in the comic books that makes people laugh and die. Like, they usually go, ha ha ha, and they just kill over, like, you read The Dark Knight Returns, right?
No.
You saw the movie, though, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, the cartoon?
Is that the one where they fought Superman?
Yeah.
I never got to part 2. I watched the battle between Superman and Batman at the end, so we could talk about it on Comic Chat. But I never watched part 2.
Maybe it's the beginning of part 2, because the end of part 1 is where the Joker comes back to, like he comes back from his coma or whatever he was in at the end of that.
I think I remember
He's
that.
like, he says, darling, or something creepy like that.
Yeah, I remember that. Okay.
Well, the Joker in that, he uses his Joker gas, and in A Kingdom Come, you're in Kingdom Come, though, right?
I did.
Kingdom Come, what kills Lois is a Joker virus. He lets off a Joker bomb. He lets off a Joker bomb in the Daily Planet, and it kills everyone inside. And so, but they still don't kill the Joker. What Magog does, and that's why people are like, "Ooh, Magog's the best. He's so cool."
Oh, I remember that now. Okay.
Yeah, and so the Joker constantly has like some sort of gas or something that he infects people with that makes them kind of crazy, and like they have that creepy. They get stuck with a smile on their face and they die.
So Volume 7 opens up with pretty interesting to me because I didn't really know a whole lot about what's going on. It didn't. All of the Justice League
got infected,
except for Cyborg.
He was supposed to be there, but he was infected. They even mentioned healing him, but he wasn't.
He was even on the cover. He was on the cover of them. That was weird. But they all came and they started to fight Bruce. One of the things about the serum gas Joker virus,
sure.
Does it make them say things they don't want to say?
This one's a special virus. Like this one was like it like messed with their minds.
Right, because all the Jokers or the Justice League were saying, you know why we're doing this. This is all because of you, Bruce. Which also I sidestep from the volume. I thought Superman never figured out who Batman was. I thought that was
they always know. They know. That
I think
Bruce
it was just
in
Kingdom. It was in Kingdom Come.
No, they still knew. They've always known.
No.
Yeah.
I'm going to challenge on the comic book show to the Comic Master. One of the volumes you had me read, I'm pretty sure it was Kingdom Come. He never knew who he was. That was the whole point, was that Batman was this grizzled dude who's like, ha, smartest guy in the world over here, Superman, most powerful man, doesn't even know who I am. That was in Kingdom Come.
I don't think so.
After the show, he's going to be wrong, but it doesn't matter because I'm right. So everyone's angry at him, and then they figure out, he stops them with his bat suit.
It was basically the... Did you ever watch Justice League Doom? I don't know if I let you borrow or not,
No.
But Justice League Doom is it's an adaptation of the comic book The Tower of Babel, I think, which is where a bad guy breaks into the Bat computer and steals Bruce's plans for destroying the Justice League. Because he, of course, has figured out how to do it. Because he always feels like, if one of you goes wrong, I need to be able to defeat you. When he kept in the Bat computer, which is supposed to be the most secure place on the planet, but this bad guy steals it, Vandal Savage. And Vandal Savage steals it and then uses it against the Justice League and defeats the Justice League because he steals Bruce's thing and how to do it, and so Bruce knows how to stop it because it's his plan, right? And so this kind of reminds me of that. It's like this is a new age version of Bruce has developed a suit that he can put on and a plan in case the Justice League goes awry and how to defeat every single one of them, which was super cool because I absolutely love that Justice League Doom animated movie, and I love the idea of that. Like, how would Bruce take down the Justice League? Because he's just a man, but he just knows how to do it.
Yeah.
And it's super cool. So he has a suit that does it, and that's pretty neat.
Yeah, so he uses the suit. He takes down the League. They all go into the infirmary. They're trying to fix him up and help him. But I believe there's a certain like time period until they would just die.
Yeah, but they solved. I'm pretty sure they solved.
They had a cure, but they didn't have an antidote. Like they didn't have a reverse agent that would be able to solve it for everyone, though, right?
Yeah, that's what they were trying to figure. He needed the Joker's like
spinal fluid
to figure it out. But the Joker said he already tainted the spinal fluid once they get to that point. But so he needs the source, and so he finds the source, but he dies, but he still gets it out.
Yeah, so one of the weird things that they did, which tied in all the other volumes, especially with the Court of Owls, was they did this connection, which I'm not remembering the word, of longevity. Like these people living almost forever. And so there was ties back to the Pale Man, which is what they related to the Joker, because when
everything that seemed to go wrong in Gotham since the beginning of time, you see him in the background.
Yeah, he's in the photos, which is really creepy.
Well, that's creepy.
Yeah. So he's in there, and he's in all these photos, and they never actually explained how he wasn't the Pale Man.
Because he is the Pale Man. At the very end, that's what Batman says. He's like, I finally believe you. Like, I believe you. You were the Pale Man. You have been around this whole time.
I thought he was more saying he was more saying it so that the Joker would be like, no, I'm just kidding. I'm the Joker. Like, I'm your equal. I'm this all-knowing being. But he was able to survive essentially by what looked like a Lazarus pit.
It was a special Lazarus pit. Like, Lazarus pit, according to what this is Lazarus pit is like a dulled-down version of what the Joker actually found. And that is like literally makes you, like, it heals you so fast if it's in your blood or maybe he fell in it. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe he fell in it. What Batman said is he fell in it after Volume 3. Volume 3, when he fell down that pit,
threw him off the pit.
He threw him off the pit. He fell into that, and that's when he became like this, and it healed his face and stuff like that. So that might be true. But how did he get all the pictures then?
He's always been like that.
So he has always been there.
Well, he's always been alive, but they didn't use. I thought they never used the pit to extend the life. He just happens to have the blood flow that would help him stay alive.
I don't know. See, that's the problem with this. Is it's still like I think I need to reread it.
Yeah, we need to reread it. It's a thick book for only being the general length of most trades.
Yeah, and so the Joker. One of my favorite parts though is the parade scene.
Yeah,
and
fun.
So like you have Batman, you have Red Robin, you have Red Hood. Regular Robin's not there, I guess, because he's still dead. Yeah, we're gonna assume that. Volume 7, Regular Robin's still dead. Damian Wayne, right?
Okay, Damian. Okay.
And then all the villains, they all teamed up together.
That was fun seeing the villains show up.
Yeah, to take down the Joker because he was just destroying Gotham, and like it's kind of reminds me of the Rogues. How the Rogues usually operate is they'll help the Flash if shit's happening in Central City because that's their city too.
Sure.
And so, and then when the Joker finally grabs Batman and rips off his mask, it's Dick Grayson, and he goes, "You're," I believe the word you're looking for is Dick. And you're like, yeah, Dick Grayson. And Batman's like, no, because he realizes Batman's already, because he just told Dick Grayson where the serum was.
Which is the greatest supervillain movie you can do, is tell them where the...
But he thought he won, so, man, and then Batman found it, and it was awesome.
Yeah, so I mean, what's happening now is kind of what I alluded to at the beginning, was that the Batman and Joker seem to maybe be dead because they fought in the pits where they were, and what was cool was that the Joker was explaining, you have your cave system, and Gotham's underbelly, and you know Gotham, but these are my caves. This is my area. I know. I'm one step ahead of you at all times.
Right.
And I thought that was really interesting, especially when they started fighting, because I wouldn't see the Joker as a guy that could fight well against Batman. Yeah,
no way.
But obviously,
Batman was pretty fucked up.
He was fucked up through all the other volumes. Like, he's just getting worse and worse going through Zero Year, because this goes from Zero Year to the Court of Owls somehow, and to all the other stuff.
I also really liked how he asked the Court of Owls for help. Like, he's like, look.
Yeah, and they wouldn't help him.
Yeah, with dicks.
And then they had the main dude who was the main murderer, and he explained that he knows everything, and then they were freaking out. I did like how there was the Upside Down City, and then he just broke it.
Yeah,
on his way, I was like, bye. So that was fun. But then when they were fighting in the cavern system, they delivered some huge blows to each other. I did enjoy the panel where the Joker just seemed to be like he was taking cuts out of Batman. He was just slicing him and hitting him and stabbing him. And then when they showed his back, it was a smiley face. They had two knives in his for eyes, and they had to get a nice back cut out for a smiley face. Oh, that's kind of fun.
Joker.
So they got very injured because Joker was very injured. Batman had never used this Lazarus pit before, but the Joker was trying to get to it. He knew that it had the regenerative powers because he's in pain. He's dying. He's bleeding out, and so he's trying to crawl to it. And then I'm kind of remember, did Joker blow up the cavern system on his way there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Blew it up.
So happily, a rock about the size of the pit magically falls right on top of the pit as the Joker and Batman are trying to crawl. Well, Joker's trying to crawl to it. Batman's trying to say, "Look, man, I get it. We're friends." And so now they're laying together, and he's explaining to the Alfred's daughter,
where did she come from?
Yeah, that was a weird thing.
In Volume 6, she showed up, and I was like, I don't know who this is.
No, I didn't even recognize Volume 6. Because Volume 7, I only recognized because you told me to recognize it.
Oh. Well, speaking of, like, they introduced that character in Volume 6 that was the Joker the whole time.
Oh, the dude who was in the
that helped the old lady?
I thought that was him.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well,
that's why I was like, it's super important, these weird minor characters in another book.
That is very cool.
So he'd been, like, working at Arkham as this crazy, like, other new guy from Metropolis.
Just want to change the world.
Yeah.
Just want to change the world. He's home in Arkham Asylum. So, okay, so now we're in the pit, or near the pit. Everything's falling apart around him, and he's talking to the Alfred's daughter, and he's explaining to her, like, look, I just want to spend some time with my friend. This is what he says. That's his last words, pretty much. Yeah. And he sends out the antidote. Everyone's saved. Of course, it's Batman. And so, picking up in Volume 8 is where they show the repercussions of everything's actions. And we're not going to get into that because obviously it's just Volume 7. I did like the final panel. I like the letter, the note that he left, that Batman left.
What was the note?
It just said, "Ha."
Oh, yeah.
That was it. It was all encompassing of his entire battle against Joker throughout his entire life. Throughout everything that he's done, it's all just been...
But then they also showed the Deus Ex Machina thing. So the first panel of that is talking about that new theater that he built.
Yeah.
He built that new theater, and that the reason why it was so expensive is because they wanted it to really feel like when the Deus Ex Machina comes down, which is saving from God or a savior of anything in a classic opera or whatever, is the special suit of armor that you can wear that brings you down. And that was one of the last panels too. It was so
garbage. Which is
so you're like, did who used the Deus Ex Machina to survive? You know, that's kind of what it's alluding to, that Batman probably figured out a way to get out, because he always does.
And the series continues. But, I mean, it's not really isn't it a spoiler if we explain who that is in the suit?
This is Jim Gordon.
There we go. Well, yeah, so it's interesting, because when Volume 8 picks up, or what's going to be Volume 8, the first couple issues, Jim Gordon is the Batman. And so I haven't read it. We're not going to spoil it, because it's just Volume 7. But, again, go read it. I mean, obviously, I hope you already have read it if you watch the spoiler cast.
Yeah.
But otherwise, once you're done with Volume 7, kick into Volume 8, because the actual trade won't come out until March.
Yeah, March.
But that's it. I mean, what did you guys think? Leave a comment. Share it. Just say what you thought about, what you liked, what you didn't like.
And if you think, if you have any theories about, what's going on here.
How they survive would be a great theory, too.
Well,
because I don't know. But if you haven't read Volume 8 like me, I'd love to communicate with you guys.
How do you think they survive?
That's one of the weird things, is that I really don't know. Is that because, the cavern system, if it's underneath Gotham, then Batman can use the system of, it's underneath Gotham, and I know all about Gotham, therefore I know about all these caverns.
Out.
Yeah, but I got nothing.
Right.
No idea.
Well, thank you for watching.
Yeah, so if you guys enjoyed this, again, leave a comment. Tell us about it. Let's have a conversation. Share with your friends. Follow us on Twitter, comment chat WGAT. Subscribe to us on youtube.com/CW. I've been so good at these. CBXcast. That's who we are. And then also watch our episodes. So we have every Wednesday we do a full show. We go over comic books. We go over pop culture within the comic book space. And then we review comic books too. Last week we did Archie number 3. And we did a little bit 1 through 4-ish of a little bit of annual for the new Batman series. But other than that, comment chat WGAT Twitter, comment chat with God on Instagram and Tumblr. I'm Chris. That's Taylor. Goodbye, guys.
See ya.